Have you ever prayed, waited, and struggled, and suddenly everything you asked for begins to come your way? The promotion you dreamed about, the business breakthrough, the favor that turns everything around, and just as that blessing arrives, there's a voice in your spirit whispering, "Be quiet, don't tell anyone yet." You see, my friend, some blessings die in the noise of celebration. Not because celebration is wrong, but because premature exposure invites spiritual resistance. When money comes, when success comes, when God begins to lift you, that is not the time to show off. That is the time to guard what is holy. Transition. Reason to keep watching. Because if you can learn how to handle increase in silence, you'll unlock the secret of sustained prosperity. Many rise, but few remain. Because they didn't understand that some blessings are not meant to be spoken, only stewarded. Stay with me till the end, and I'll show you how to protect your next miracle. Not from people, but from pride. 1. The power of divine timing. Money itself is not evil, but money that comes before maturity is dangerous. When the prodigal son received his inheritance too early, it destroyed him. Timing determines outcome. That's why when increase comes, you must pause, not post. Reflect before you reveal. 2. The test of secrecy. When God blesses you, He's watching to see, can you keep quiet? Because your silence is not secrecy, it's spiritual discipline. Every great blessing carries spiritual weight. The moment you announce it, you invite opinion, jealousy, and sometimes opposition you're not ready for. 3. The spirit of humility. Money has a voice, and it often says, "Look at me." But when you learn to stay humble in increase, you prove that the blessing didn't change who you are. The true rich man is not one who can spend loudly, but one who can give quietly. 4. The principle of stewardship. God doesn't bless to impress. He blesses to entrust. When you receive increase, ask, "Lord, what do you want me to do with this?" The one who uses his wealth for purpose will never lack, because God funds His own assignments. 5. The hidden season. Every great destiny has a private chapter. Jesus healed many, but often said, "Tell no one." Why? Because not every miracle was meant for public proof. Some were meant to build faith in silence. If you can protect your blessing in the dark, God will magnify it in the light. Conclusion, strong call to action. So when this money comes, when this opportunity arrives, don't tell anyone yet. Pray first, plan wisely, stay humble, because what you protect in private, God will multiply in public. Your silence today may be the seed of your stability tomorrow. The power of divine timing is one of the most misunderstood secrets in the journey of success and blessing. Many people think that once they receive money or breakthrough, that's the sign they're ready for it. But divine timing is not about when you are ready, it's about when He knows you are ready. Sometimes God delays a blessing, not because He doesn't want to give it, but because He's protecting you from the weight of something that could crush you if it comes too soon. Money is not just currency. It is a test of character. When it comes before maturity, it doesn't build, it breaks. That's why so many people who suddenly come into wealth lose it just as fast. They had the money, but not the timing that builds lasting wealth. When the prodigal son received his inheritance early, he celebrated it as a breakthrough. He thought freedom meant having what he wanted when he wanted it, but timing without preparation led him into ruin. His hands could hold the inheritance, but his heart could not handle the responsibility. That's what happens when blessings arrive before understanding. God knows that if He gives you more before you learn to manage the little, what was meant to bless you can destroy you. Divine timing isn't about delay. It's about development. Every season of waiting, every test of patience, every moment of seeming silence is shaping your spirit to handle what's coming. Think about a fruit that ripens before its time. It may look good from the outside, but it tastes bitter inside. In the same way, when you try to force a blessing before its divine season, it looks like success for a while, but soon you realize it lacks the sweetness of grace. God's blessings are not meant to be rushed. They're meant to be revealed. And when they are revealed at the right time, no one can stop what He's ordained. You won't need to fight for position. You won't need to prove yourself. Timing will speak for you. Many people lose peace in the process because they confuse delay with denial. But divine timing says, wait, I am preparing not just the blessing, but also you. That's why when money finally comes, the first response shouldn't be to broadcast it. The right response is to bow in gratitude and say, Lord, thank you for trusting me with this at the right time. Because had it come earlier, you might not have known how to handle it with wisdom, generosity, and restraint. There's a reason why the richest moments in life often come after the hardest seasons. Waiting breaks pride. Struggle builds discipline. Delay purifies motives. By the time your blessing arrives, you're no longer desperate to show it off. You're ready to steward it. Divine timing aligns your maturity with your miracle. That's why the Bible says He makes all things beautiful in His time. Beauty outside of His timing fades. Beauty within His timing endures. If God is making you wait, it's because He's preparing you to carry what you prayed for. He's not just opening a door. He's strengthening your hands so you can hold it open. And when that money, that opportunity, that success finally comes, you'll realize why the wait was necessary. You'll see that what once felt like delay was actually divine protection. You'll understand that timing is not just about what you get, but who you become in the process. So, when this money comes, when this increase shows up, don't rush to tell anyone. Pause. Let the moment settle. Let gratitude speak louder than excitement. Because in that quiet pause, you're honoring the one who orchestrated your timing. You're saying, God, I see what you did, and I'm ready, not just to have it, but to handle it. That's the power of divine timing. It teaches you that blessings are not truly yours until they arrive through patience, obedience, and maturity. What comes too fast rarely lasts, but what comes in divine timing carries the grace to stay. The test of secrecy is one of the most difficult and revealing stages of spiritual maturity. It's easy to talk about faith when you're waiting, but it's harder to stay silent when the blessing finally arrives. When God begins to open doors, when money begins to flow, when favor begins to show up in unexpected ways, there's a natural urge to tell everyone what's happening. You want to celebrate, to share, to show others that the prayers have been answered. But that's when the true test begins. Can you stay quiet when your success is still fragile? Can you protect what's sacred before it's strong enough to stand on its own? Not every blessing is meant to be announced. Some are meant to be protected. When God begins something new in your life, it often starts small, like a seed. And if you expose a seed too early to the wrong environment, it will die before it grows. That's why in the spiritual realm, secrecy isn't about fear. It's about wisdom. It's not hiding what God is doing. It's shielding it from unnecessary voices that could contaminate it. Because every word you speak carries energy, and every ear that hears it carries influence. Some people, even unintentionally, can speak doubt, envy, or negativity into what God is still building in your life. When a woman conceives, she doesn't announce it the moment it happens. She waits for it to take root, to stabilize, to grow strong within her. Only then does she reveal what's been forming in secret. That's how you must handle divine blessings. What God gives in secret, you must nurture in secret. The early stages of prosperity are like early pregnancy, fragile, hidden, and sacred. Announce it too early and you might lose what you just received. There's a profound reason why even Jesus often said to those He healed, tell no one. He wasn't teaching them to hide. He was teaching them to protect the holy from being misunderstood or misused. Some miracles were not for public proof. They were for private transformation. The moment you expose something sacred to unprepared hearts, you invite misinterpretation. And when people misunderstand your blessing, they start attaching opinions and expectations that can weigh you down. Secrecy is not weakness, it's strength under control. It's knowing that validation from people is temporary, but preservation from God is eternal. When you can keep quiet about your blessing, you demonstrate to heaven that you value the giver more than the gift. You show that your identity doesn't depend on what people see, but on what God is doing within you. The more you mature spiritually, the less you need to announce your progress. Your results will speak for you. Many blessings are lost in the noise of early celebration. You've seen it. Someone receives money, and before they even understand how to use it, they start showing it off. They begin to boast, spend, or seek attention. But money without discipline always exposes immaturity. The blessing that was meant to lift them ends up leading them into pride, and pride opens the door to downfall. The scripture says, guard your heart, for out of it flow the issues of life. That includes guarding what enters and what leaves, your words, your intentions, and your announcements when you receive increase. It's not just about enjoying it, it's about protecting it. Not everyone around you is ready to celebrate you. Some will clap with their hands but compete with their hearts. Others will misunderstand your blessing and start measuring their worth against your success. That's why wisdom teaches you to stay quiet until the right time. Silence gives you space to think clearly, to pray sincerely, and to plan wisely. Learn to live quietly in seasons of increase. Use that time to build, to invest, to align your spirit with purpose. You don't need to prove that you're blessed. Your peace, your generosity, and your fruit will prove it in time. God's favor doesn't need publicity. It produces evidence. What you hide in the secret place, He will reveal in His own time, in His own way, and no one will be able to deny that it was His hand upon your life. So when that blessing comes, when that money starts to flow, remember, not every miracle is meant for public display. Protect it in prayer. Shield it with gratitude, and let your actions speak louder than your announcements. Because true maturity is not in how loudly you celebrate, but in how quietly you carry what God has entrusted to you. And when the time is right, He Himself will make your success visible, not for your glory, but for His. The spirit of humility is the anchor that keeps the soul grounded when blessings begin to overflow. Money has a way of testing the heart unlike anything else. When a person who has struggled suddenly begins to experience increase, something shifts inside. Confidence rises, options expand, and influence grows. But hidden within that blessing is a silent test. Will you remain the same person, or will you allow success to redefine who you are? Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself correctly. It is remembering that no matter how high you rise, you are still standing on grace. Wealth exposes the condition of the heart. Before money came, you may have prayed daily, depended on God for everything, and treated people with gentleness. But once abundance enters, the temptation arises to take credit for what grace has produced. You begin to think your strength, your intellect, or your effort made it happen. That's where the spirit of humility must step in and whisper, you are blessed, but you are not the source. The purpose of humility is to keep your heart aligned with the giver, not the gift. Because pride always turns blessings into burdens, while humility turns blessings into testimonies. The true sign of maturity is when increase doesn't change your attitude. Some people grow rich but shrink in character. They start talking differently, treating people differently, and forgetting those who stood with them in hard times. Yet the ones who walk in humility never lose touch with gratitude. They can sit in abundance and still remember the days of lack without shame. They honor the journey because they know every step was orchestrated by God's hand. Humility is not weakness. It is strength under the control of wisdom. It's the ability to celebrate success quietly without needing to broadcast it for validation. When money comes, pride comes knocking. It tells you to show the world what you have, to prove your worth through possessions. But humility reminds you that what you have is temporary, while who you are in character is eternal. A humble person can be trusted with increase because they understand that wealth is a tool, not a throne. They use money to serve purpose, not ego. The more they receive, the more they give. They recognize that the highest form of prosperity is generosity. Not the kind that seeks recognition, but the kind that flows naturally from gratitude. The spirit of humility also guards you from comparison. In a world obsessed with image, people measure success by visibility. They want to be seen, known, and admired. But humility teaches contentment. It says, I don't need to be louder to prove I'm blessed. The truly blessed don't compete. They contribute. They understand that someone else's success doesn't threaten theirs because God's resources are unlimited. When you walk humbly, you stop chasing applause and start pursuing purpose. You don't need people to see your value when heaven already validates you. Another sign of humility is how you treat others when you have the advantage. Power reveals the heart. When money gives you influence, how do you use it? Do you lift others or do you look down on them? Humility teaches that leadership is service. The more you have, the more responsible you become for the well-being of those around you. The humble don't boast about how much they own. They focus on how much they can give. They understand that blessings were never meant to terminate on themselves, but to flow through them to others. There is beauty in quiet wealth, the kind that doesn't need attention but silently changes lives. Some of the most powerful people in the world are the ones you never hear about, because their success is wrapped in humility. They live by the principle that when you honor God in secret, He will honor you in public. Pride demands recognition. Humility trusts timing. Pride says, look what I did. Humility says, look what God allowed me to do. If you want your blessings to last, you must stay low even when life lifts you high. The ground of humility is where God plants new seeds of favor. The moment you rise above that soil, the roots of your blessing begin to dry up. Humility keeps you teachable, keeps you grateful, and keeps you aligned with purpose. It reminds you that the same God who gives can take away, and therefore the right posture is always gratitude. So when that money comes, don't let it change your tone, your walk, or your worship. Keep your hands open and your heart bowed. Let your generosity speak louder than your wealth. Let your kindness outweigh your possessions. Because in the eyes of heaven, the truly rich are not those who have the most, but those who need the least. And when you stay humble in increase, you will never have to fear loss. For God Himself will keep refilling the hands that remain low before Him. The principle of stewardship is one of the greatest keys to sustaining wealth, favor, and influence. It teaches that what you possess is not entirely yours. It is entrusted to you for a divine purpose. Everything you receive, money, opportunity, wisdom, or time, is a trust from God. How you handle it determines whether you will keep it, lose it, or multiply it. Too often, people pray for increase, but forget that increase always comes with responsibility. God doesn't bless to impress, He blesses to entrust. When the money comes, it is not just a moment of celebration. It is a test of management. True stewardship begins with understanding ownership. You are not the owner of what you have, you are the caretaker. The real owner is the one who gave it. The day you start thinking that what's in your hand belongs only to you is the day pride starts taking root. A steward's heart says, Lord, this is yours. Show me what you want me to do with it. That simple shift in mindset changes everything. Instead of spending to satisfy ego, you begin to invest to fulfill purpose. Instead of hoarding for fear, you start giving out of faith. When you view money as a mission, not a medal, you position yourself for divine multiplication. Stewardship is not about how much you have. It's about what you do with what you have. Some people wait for great wealth before learning discipline, but stewardship begins with small things. If you can't manage a little, you won't manage a lot. That's why the scripture says, he who is faithful in little will be faithful in much. Before the big breakthrough arrives, God watches how you handle small responsibilities, your spending habits, your generosity, your integrity in business, your attitude when no one is watching. Money doesn't change character. It exposes it. If you are careless in lack, you'll be reckless in abundance. But if you're faithful in little, increase will come naturally. Many people think stewardship is about giving money away, but it's deeper than that. It's about aligning your resources with your purpose. Every currency has an assignment. You are blessed to be a blessing. The more you understand that, the more heaven can trust you with increase. Because God never funds greed, He funds purpose. The moment your goals align with His will, to serve, to uplift, to build. Resources start finding their way to you. That's the mystery of stewardship. What you manage with intention grows under divine favor. Stewardship also requires self-control. When money comes, the temptation to spend for validation can be overwhelming. People want to show proof of success, new things, new lifestyle, new image. But a wise steward knows that increase is not for immediate display. It's for long-term stability. Every decision with money is either planting or wasting. The wise steward doesn't just ask, can I afford this? But does this align with my purpose? The disciplined use of wealth brings peace, while careless spending brings pressure. Prosperity without stewardship quickly turns into poverty. Another layer of stewardship is accountability, who speaks into your financial life, who helps you stay grounded when increase comes. Many lose direction because they isolate themselves in success. But even the most gifted steward needs counsel. When you allow wisdom to guide you, you protect yourself from unnecessary mistakes. God will often use mentors, advisors, or even inner conviction to help you handle what He's given. The humble steward listens, learns, and adjusts. Stewardship is also measured by how you treat others with what you have when God entrusts you with wealth. It's not just for your comfort, but for your contribution. Your money should carry compassion. There's a reason God keeps pouring into people who keep pouring out. They've become channels, not containers. When you give, when you help others rise, when you invest in something bigger than yourself, you activate the law of divine replenishment. The more you give with purpose, the more heaven replenishes your supply. You see, the greatest reward of stewardship is not material increase, it's spiritual growth. Every act of faithful management shapes your character. It teaches patience, discipline, and gratitude. You begin to realize that the goal is not to have more, but to become more responsible, more generous, more aligned with your calling. When your heart stays right, your hands will never stay empty. God can only trust what He can guide, and He guides those who honor Him with what they have. So when the money comes, pause and ask yourself, Lord, how can I use this to glorify You? Let Your wealth serve Your purpose. Build wisely, give intentionally, save patiently, spend responsibly, because stewardship is not about having control. It's about surrendering control to the one who knows best. And when you prove faithful with what He's already placed in your hands, He will trust you with more. The increase you manage well today becomes the foundation of the abundance you'll walk in tomorrow. The hidden season is the most important and often the most misunderstood phase of any blessing. It's the time when nothing seems to be happening on the surface, yet everything is being built beneath it. Before every great revelation, there is a period of concealment. Before public success, there must be private obedience. God never elevates anyone in public who has not been proven in secret. The hidden season is where character is shaped, motives are purified, and faith is tested. It is where God prepares you for what He's preparing for you. Many people want the spotlight but resist the secret place, forgetting that without hidden roots, no tree can stand the storm. When you pray for increase, God doesn't always answer by giving you more immediately. Sometimes He hides you instead. You may feel unseen, unrecognized, or overlooked, but that season is not punishment, it's protection. The hidden season shields you from premature exposure. It keeps you away from environments that could kill your growth, just like a seed planted deep in the soil. You may feel buried, but in truth you are being prepared. The soil is dark, silent, and pressing, but it's in that pressure that life begins to form. Growth is quiet, development is unseen, and before the world sees the fruit, heaven ensures the roots are strong enough to sustain it. Many people want to skip the hidden season because it feels slow and uncomfortable, but God uses that time to refine what success might expose. The hidden season teaches patience, discipline, and humility. It trains you to depend on God even when there's no applause. It strips away your desire for human validation and teaches you to find peace in divine approval. When you learn to obey God in private, you become unshakable in public. The noise of fame, wealth, or recognition cannot distract someone who has already found their worth in silence. Even Jesus, before His ministry began, spent years in obscurity. He worked quietly as a carpenter, away from the crowds, shaping wood long before he began shaping hearts. When miracles later followed him, he often said, "Tell no one." Why? Because even the Son of God understood timing. Every miracle wasn't meant to become a moment of publicity. Some were meant to deepen faith privately. The hidden season allows your relationship with God to grow deeper than your reputation with people. It is the place where you build spiritual stamina, the kind that cannot be shaken when success finally comes. In your hidden season, it may seem like everyone else is advancing while you're standing still. But what you don't see is that God is working behind the scenes, aligning circumstances, preparing connections and molding your character, so that when the door finally opens, you will walk through it ready. Sometimes, the worst thing that could happen is success too early. Public elevation without private preparation leads to public downfall. That's why God, in His mercy, hides you until you're ready to handle the weight of what's coming. The hidden season also tests your intentions. Why do you want success? Why do you want money, influence, or recognition? If your motives are rooted in pride or insecurity, God will delay elevation until your heart is clean. He's not punishing you. He's protecting you from destroying yourself with the very blessing you're asking for. The hidden season exposes your heart to yourself. It shows you what you truly value, what you truly fear, and what you truly worship. It's where God removes the counterfeit desires and replaces them with His own. If you're in a season of silence right now, don't despise it. Don't rush to escape it. Instead, embrace it as divine training. Use it to grow in prayer, in patience, in self-control, and in wisdom. Let God build you quietly. Because when the time comes for you to be revealed, you won't just have blessings. You'll have depth. You'll have the strength to sustain what others only dream of having. People rise fast and fall faster because they never allowed God to work on them in secret. The ones who last are those who stayed hidden until the appointed time. The hidden season is proof that God trusts you enough to take time with you. He's not in a hurry. He is building something eternal. When you finally step into your moment of visibility, you'll realize that the silence was sacred. Every unseen tear, every unanswered prayer, every quiet act of faith was building something inside you that success could never replace. So, when the blessing comes and the world begins to notice you, you'll carry a different kind of strength. A calm confidence born in obscurity. Remember, what you protect in private, God will magnify in public. Your hidden obedience will one day become your visible testimony. So don't curse the silence. It's shaping you. Don't fight the waiting. It's preparing you. Because when the season changes and the blessing finally manifests, it will not just be seen, it will be sustained. The hidden season is not the end of your story, it's the foundation of it.